This is so mashed. Cute. Hi friends, it's Mika. So today we're back in the kitchen. Last time I was in here it did not go so well, but today we are going to be making Japanese souffle cheesecake. I made it a couple days ago. It worked perfectly. This is probably one of my favorite desserts, even though it's so demanding. Even though it is so demanding to make. Last time it took me 4 hours, so hopefully I can cut it in half this time. This cooking with Mika, well, baking, is gonna be a success this time, I hope. And of course, the recipe I'll be following is gonna be down in the description, so let's get started. Okay, so we changed backgrounds because prettier, and special request from my mom to make 2 cakes, so I'm gonna be doubling the recipe. Certain things have to be room temperature, like cream cheese, butter, and egg whites. 4 o'clock right now, and I hope to be done by 6 with this entire cake thing. The recipe says that you can use a double boiler, or you can wait for everything to be room temperature to mix everything. That's what I did. Or like I did the first time, you can stick it in the microwave. And my mom also came with groceries on time because I only had 4 eggs and you need 6, and then she told me to double it. In here I have cream cheese, butter, heavy whipping cream, sugar. Now we're gonna mash until it's all mixed, but I'm gonna be a little slow because I don't want splash everywhere. Like that. It's been a while since I filmed a video. Like my last video was from 2 weeks ago. I pre-filmed it. How have you all been? It's been a while. I guess update on quarantine. US flattened the curve the wrong way. And because of quarantine, we're hoping that, well, I'm not hoping. We're thinking that we won't really get a senior year because of quarantine. Hopefully there's a vaccine soon, because otherwise I won't even get a senior year, which sucks. But it's okay. Meanwhile, while I'm in quarantine, I've been watching a lot of shows. I recently finished Descendants of the Sun. It's so good, and also part of the plot kind of fits in with everything that's going on right now. I've also watched 2 nights ago, I watched A Whisker Away, which is like a new Netflix original anime. It's so adorable. I'm like obsessed with the cheesy, heartfelt anime films like Your Name, Weathering with You, A Silent Voice. I also love all the Ghibli studio film stuff. Over quarantine, I also watched Haikyuu, and supposedly July 2020, next month, or it's actually this month, I think that's when this video is going up. This is so good to mash. They're supposed to release a new season, or like the next episode. I'm a fan of Haikyuu, so I'm really excited for whenever that comes out. Of course, if you've been watching my past few videos, I will watch Avatar. I finished it in like 3 days. Like I started the first episode in 1 week, I continued it and finished it in 3 days. It's really good. If you couldn't tell by the way I've edited my past few videos, then it'd be pretty obvious that I'm really obsessed with Avatar. Is this some cooking ASMR? And I've also been baking a lot. Like I've been making a lot of cookies. I've made crinkles, oatmeal cookies, and I've also added like chocolate chips and raisins per request from my parents. I've also made mochi, but that did not really work out. I've made churros, I've made brownies, now I'm making cheesecake. It's going very well. I think I'm better at baking than cooking. Oh, speaking of being sore, I've been doing Chloe Ting's workout programs. I recently finished her 4-week core challenge, and I am on my week break right now. I was gonna start yesterday, her new one, the intense core one, but I'm on my period, so we're gonna be waiting for that to be over, and then I will be continuing. Okay, I'm gonna switch to a whisk now. Okay, I might use the hand mixer. Right back when it's done. Okay, so this is as good as it's gonna get. Now I'm gonna be adding my egg yolks. Since I doubled the recipe, I think I'm gonna be adding 2 at a time. I'm the yolk broke, so we're just gonna be guessing how much one yolk is gonna be. Probably should have done that at the beginning. When adding your eggs, you wanna make sure that they're incorporated before like adding everything. Afterwards, you're gonna take cake flour, and if you're like me and don't have cake flour, you can substitute it with 1 cup of all-purpose flour, and then take 2 tablespoons of that out and replace it with 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. And I started using a whisk at the beginning so that it wouldn't poof everywhere, and then I switched to a hand mixer. Then comes the most annoying part, which I completely forgot about when my mom asked me to double the recipe. So you have to take your batter and push it through this mesh strainer to get a silky smooth batter, and I honestly don't see a difference, and I don't really know if it actually is doing something, but I did it anyway just to be safe, and it was definitely an arm workout, and it'll take a lot of time and patience, but if you're not doubling the recipe like me, it won't be as bad. And then I asked my mom for help because my arms were just so sore, and my face seeing how much batter there was, and I was just like, is this really necessary? Do I really have to do it? But, you know, did it anyway. And then you can preheat your oven to 350. I'm gonna be beating the egg whites now to make meringue. You want to keep track of time when you do this because it's very picky. The recipe says to do cold egg whites, but I do warm because it beats better. And then, so after 2 minutes of beating this on like a low speed, then you're gonna slowly mix in your sugar. And then once it's all incorporated, you're gonna keep whipping it until you get the fluffy peaks. If you've made a meringue before, then you know how this goes, and these are the opaque, like, foamy bubbles you want. That's when you're gonna start slowly adding in your sugar, and I added a third at a time, and I think that I should have done it slower and like in shorter amounts, just because I had a lot of egg whites to beat, because I've only ever done 3 or 6 eggs in recipes. I've never done 12, but it definitely took a lot longer, and this is the most important part because this is basically what's gonna make your souffle. But with time, you're gonna get fluffier, more bubbles, and then you're gonna want those fluffy white peaks, as all the bakers say. After like 20 minutes of mixing this, it's doubled. I got the supposed fluffy white peaks, but since this is a lot, it's good as it's gonna get for right now. I preheated the oven earlier to be 350, so now I'm gonna set up the bain-marie. The bain-marie is basically taking a baking sheet and filling it with water to put your souffle in, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that when the water evaporates, it also helps cook the souffle. And the way I do it is I put the pan in first, and then I use a pitcher to pour it in so that I won't burn myself. We're gonna take the egg white mixture, and then we're gonna put it into this one. And the thing with this is that you don't want the meringue to deflate, so then you won't get your souffle. So you have to fold it in very delicately. 1/3 of the mixture into this one first, and then you're gonna whisk it, but you're gonna like mix it in like so. And yeah, this bowl is not big enough, but on the last third that you mix, you're gonna transfer it to the other bowl. So now that that one's fully mixed, we're gonna now do half of the egg white, or another third of the egg white. Pour this one into the last third of the other bowl. Now that everything's mixed and you pour it into your little things now. Now, just tap them a bit. It should be at 320, and the water is hot, obviously. So the way I put the cake tins in, pull out the tray, the rack of it. I need the other one. Just the wrap back in very carefully. Don't want to spill any water. And then close for an hour and 10 minutes. Well, not 2 hours. Finally done. Okay, so after an hour and 10 minutes, you're gonna switch it to 300 degrees, and then you're gonna bake it until the top is golden brown. When you're done with everything, you don't want to take the cake out immediately because then it'll deflate and collapse. So you need to not shock it with cold air. So you're gonna open the oven a little bit and to let it cool off to room temperature. Then once that's done, you can eat it, or you can let it get to room temperature and then put it in the fridge to serve it, so then it'll be a little more dense and melty like cheesecake. I forgot to mention that you need to poke the cakes with the barbecue skewer just to see if it's fully cooked and see if anything sticks, and then you can bake for a little longer. But since I had 2 different cakes in 2 different pans, they cooked at different rates because each one was filled with different levels of water. So if you're gonna do more than one, try to find a pan that will fit both of them, because then I had to completely skip the cooling process and just take it out immediately. So I let the cakes cool for 20 minutes. You did the pull tabs, it makes it a lot easier to take it out. Pull it out like so. What is it? It smells like corn. Now, I would leave the bottom one. It's not as pretty as the first one, but that is cake number 1. Well, these are the cheesecakes. They're still like moist a bit. I'm gonna let it cool a bit longer just to cool, and then I can put strawberries and maybe like powdered sugar on top. It looks like a little birthday cake. We're gonna leave the other one plain. You're not gonna cool it. Oh. My mom's washing dishes, by the way. It's creamier this time. I didn't fail. Take a bite. Even though I made this recipe seem a lot harder than it is, it's honestly really easy because even I succeeded at it. It could definitely be better, but I still really liked it, as you can tell. I've been obsessed with simple, cute little desserts and just super aesthetic cakes, so that's why I made this cheesecake, and definitely recommend to try this at home and make it for your family or even just for yourself. But it's something fun to do over quarantine. So yeah, thanks for watching. Stay safe and healthy, guys.